Hi everyone, this is Louisa, the Eat Right Chef and Integrative Nutrition Health Coach. Today I want to talk to you about my experience as a vegan about 9 years ago. At that time, I was struggling with my health because I was diagnosed with a couple of huge uterine fibroids and ovarian cysts, and because of the bad experience I had watching my dad being badly treated in the hospital for his cancer, I developed a very big aversion to conventional Western medicine, so I decided to go the natural way. So I started to experiment with all kinds of diets. And then I came upon veganism. I read many books about plant-based diets and read about their benefits. So I decided to try them out for myself. and that lasted for about 6 months. And I got really excited because I started seeing that my fibroids started to shrink in size. That was very encouraging. And also I started to feel lighter. I started to feel that I've gotten rid of a lot of toxins and I lost a lot of weight, which to me was a bonus because I was seriously pursuing ballet training as an adult at that time, and it gave me the ballet body, so I was very happy about it. And toward the end of the 6-month period, I actually subscribed to the idea that eating a plant-based diet would elevate my consciousness. So it became even like a spiritual practice or a religious practice. But one day I felt really dizzy, and the dizziness lasted for 2 hours. And I never experienced that kind of dizziness before. It was very scary. I was trying to get some work done, but I couldn't, and I had to call in sick. Actually, prior to that dizzy spell, I was experiencing some weird sensations in my body, but I really didn't connect the dots. And one symptom that I experienced was acid reflux. So I felt that my food, even though I was eating very light and only vegetables, fruits and nuts, I felt that the food was backing up my throat and I was unable to get it down. And that affected how I felt the whole day, but especially at night when I was trying to get some sleep. It was very difficult, very uncomfortable. I had to prop myself up with 2 pillows, but still it didn't help. Another symptom that I experienced was I had cold feet and hands all day long. Whether the weather is hot or cold, it didn't matter. I was feeling cold all the time. And then I started to feel really tired, like really, really tired. I had never felt that tired any time in my whole life until then. I remember having to walk up the stairs to my building after work, and I had no energy to even walk up the stairs. I felt so frail. And then other things, little things like my hair was falling out a lot, and my skin started to feel really, really dry, as if I had scales on my skin. I didn't really realize that all of those symptoms had to do with eating a vegan diet. Now, let me be clear about the type of vegan diet I was eating. I was actually going for the raw vegan diet, so no cooked food, and everything was plant-based. And to me, you know, based on the literature that I had read, that was like top of the line, the best, the healthiest way of eating. But that dizzy spell really started to make me question this premise. I was desperate to find a cure for that and for my other problems. I knew, you know, at that time that I was anemic without even having to go to the doctor. I mean, I'm quite in tune to my body because of my intuition. And in fact, it turned out to be true that I was anemic. Luckily, around that same time, I was able to find a solution. And the solution came in the idea of the blood type diet, eating according to your blood type, according to individual differences. And I first read about it in a book that talks about, you know, what food to eat in order to live long. And that book was very confusing because it was as if, you know, you have to eat all of those hundreds of superfoods in the book, suggested in the book, in order to achieve longevity and health, which to me was impossible. But in one of the chapters, the author did mention the blood type diet, and I got intrigued. So I went to look for the book, Eat Right for Your Blood Type by Dr. Peter Diadamo, in which he talked about how type O individuals actually benefit from eating animal protein. In fact, animal protein is indispensable for type O individuals. So I started my quest to reintroduce animal protein to my diet. The following week, I went to look for grass-fed beef, which is highly beneficial for type O's. And I also started to eat some eggs and a little bit of cheese. And for me, it would be certain cheeses like manchego, you know, sheep's milk cheese that is beneficial. So I also included some fish like cod and salmon, but I reintroduced those animal proteins very, very slowly, one at a time, because my body was not used to eating meat. And within 1 or 2 weeks, my acid reflux actually disappeared automatically. And I was so happy. And of course, no more dizzy spells. And gradually, within a month, my skin became much smoother, less dry, and I started to get my energy back. And at that time, I knew that I was on the right path. There was also a challenge or a hurdle that I had to overcome when switching over to an omnivorous diet. Mind you, the type O diet is not only meat, and it's not about all kinds of meat like bacon or pork, because these are avoids for us, given the fact that pork has a very high toxin and viral load. Anyway, So the hurdle that I was going to tell you about was the ethical and the moral dilemma of eating meat again. When I was a vegan, of course, like all other vegans, I subscribe to the idea that killing animals is an immoral behavior. It's cruel, and we should not do that. Luckily, I was able to listen to my body and honor my body's needs. And I found this book called The Yoga of Eating. And in this book, one of the chapters talked about this moral dilemma. And one of the things it cited was the indigenous cultures and how the hunting cultures, such as those you see among the Native Americans and among the Inuit people, how they actually perform spiritual rituals to communicate with and honor the spirits of the animals before they kill them for food. And there's a whole spiritual side of this practice. And personally, I have actually met and attended a lecture by a polar bear hunter from Greenland. So I was able to incorporate his perspective and understand from his first-hand experience of how these cultures relate to animals. And it's a very holistic approach. And so, and I understand that every living thing in this world, in our ecosystem, is part of the food chain, and that's just the way it is. And there are even scientific studies that show that plants also have feelings or sensations such as fear. They send out chemicals when they sense people are going to chop them off. So if you apply the same principle that you apply to the killing of animals, shouldn't that also be applied to plants? Well, of course, eating meat does not mean that I condone the modern way of killing animals, of raising them. So I absolutely, since many years ago, stopped buying meat from factory farms, from conventionally raised animals, because of the horrendous ways they've been treated. So I always make sure that the meat that I buy comes from humanely treated animals, and that the farms are ones I would trust. And for beef and lamb, bison, those would be grass-fed, 100% grass-fed. Not just grass-fed, but grass-fed and grass-finished. For poultry, would be free-ranged. It's the same for eggs. And of course, they should be hormone-free, pesticide-free, and antibiotic-free. And for fish as well, sustainably fished and wild caught, and free of industrial toxins and heavy metals. So those are the criteria that I use when I source my animal protein. And fast forward 9 years now, I've been eating according to the type O diet, and I have never felt so great physically in my life, and I've been thriving thanks to that day I stumbled upon the book Eat Right for Your Type and the concept of eating according to your bio-individuality. So that is my story. And since I actually have the story written on my blog, I will include the link with this video. So if you want to read it or share it with others, feel free to do that, or share this video. And since I've shared my story, I've actually heard from a lot of people who are type O, who have experienced similar things with me, and they have thanked me for speaking up. Because there is a certain stigma for ex-vegans or vegans to leave the community and to, reintroduce animal food into their diet. So if you are one of these people, then I encourage you to share your experience, leave a comment, or contact me if you want to talk about it and find out how you can regain your health to its optimal level and to thrive without having to feel guilty about it or shameful about it. Well, I hope you find this video useful and inspiring. And if you like my video, please subscribe to my channel. And I also have a newsletter. I have newsletters for different blood types, but if you are type O, I have content that is geared toward type O individuals. So make sure you subscribe to my newsletter, and the link is in the description of this video. I will see you in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.